là ń gbèsè lárugẹ jẹ́ ká jọgbọ́ o. àtúnjà fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. ọmọ Òdùwà ni wá o kọ́kọ́kọ́kọ́. èkúté ṣe bí lébi òsì àdìmú bàbá yọ. We bring you one closer to your doorstep. Akẹ́kẹ́ tó fẹ́ òòlù kàkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lára sí. Àgbèrègèdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa. Gbogbo ayé ẹ̀gbọ́n àwa ní bàbá o. Ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà ni wá. Òtútù aládé dání, òtítọ́ ládé dání. Àbí sọ́dalẹ̀, àbí sódì kẹta. Àgbọ̀tán, àkókòrè kéde. KOIKIMEDIA, we bring you one closer to yourself. KOIKIMEDIA is around. Is around. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, KOIKIMEDIA is around.
Self-determination. Why does the Scottish want to exit the Union of the Great Britain? And let us have a conversation on that. We're just about some few more minutes. The presentation will not be long, but we will take advantage of little time that we have to educate ourselves. And let's start with this. And just about a few minutes, our platform will be ready to go.
Mama ẹgbẹ́ ya mọ̀ wọ́n á máa gbọ́n fẹ́ ṣàkóso fún wọn ni ẹni tọ́ba ní kó òkú ní kékeré kó máa fọwọ́ àwọn ṣe ra wọn wọ́n ní kàkọ́ máa ṣe ara ìdúkù dànù ìmọ̀jọ́ ayé pọ̀ ní kú lọ́wọ́ ọmọ gbá kékeré tó kékeré ìdáhọ́ ẹni ọmọ gbẹ̀yìn agbẹ̀dẹ òsì pàtàkì òní gbúrú odò kò tẹ̀ máa gbọ́ àwọn bàbá rẹ tó ti wà níbùgbé ìdájọ́ wọn àmọ́ fọwọ́ tí ọ̀gẹ̀gẹ̀ ni àwọn alágbára jagun tí wọ́n ti jagun ṣáájú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá wọn mọ fi ọtí ọ̀gẹ̀gẹ̀ ni kó o dúwà ọlọ́ọ̀tì ọba àtàlà lásán wọn àjàká agangẹ kílẹ̀ ẹ̀fọ́fọ́ fẹ́rí lánàfọ́kúnyá òun lẹ̀ mẹ́rú ọmọdékùnrin sábà aborílá aborí kòkó alùpùpù àbá àkútù ògèdè ìgbé ẹgbẹ́gbùngbùrù olè jẹ́sà ṣàgbó gbọ́dọ̀ sẹ́yìn ọmọdé yẹn mọ́ ń bọ́ sọ̀kọ́ tí mọ́ ògùn làyà wáyé náà ọmọdé yẹn mọ́ ìgbòho sáńpolo sí gbẹ̀gbẹ̀kú tiẹ̀ sẹ́ ọ̀gbárùgbọ́lárúgbó ọ̀nùgbọ́lọ̀ rẹ̀ jó ògùn làyà ọ̀sẹ̀ pààyàn kẹ́ni ẹ̀ máa ń de bàbá rẹ lọ òrùkàtàrí gbàgbà kẹ́ni ẹ̀ máa ń de bàbá rẹ lọ alárúgbó parúmọ́ Sunday ọmọdé yẹn mọ́ ní oṣù olùgbòde gbangba Sunday ọmọdé yẹn mọ́ ó ti dìbò kóòdù ó ti wà lókè ẹni ẹ bá ní ọjà kọ́kọ́ máa kú ni máa gbọ́ o sórí má bẹ̀rù ọ̀tẹ̀ mọ́ òòrí ní gbogbo fùrùfùrù labalábá tí wọ́n ń dìbò lẹ́kùn Sunday ọmọdé yẹn mọ́ Ìgbòho sa òòrí bí wọ́n ti ń wo sọ àkísà máa gbọ́ o yẹ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà bá lóye akọ́dà ayé ọgbọ́ ọmọ Adéyẹmọ ní ẹja fọwọ́tì yìí débi tó lápẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹja fọ tẹ́lẹ̀ èmi tún ẹ̀wọ̀ òtùmí kò lè gbé wa débi kankan pa akọ́dà ayé ọgbọ́ ẹja kọ́kọ́ ká bí ẹni tó ń wọ́ pàfẹ́sẹ́ ńlá rúgẹ́ ni ẹ máa gbọ́ oníbọ̀ ní ẹsẹ̀ wọn máa fara òní ni igi igbó sórí pọ̀ wọ́n ti gbẹ́ ẹ̀rí ni àwọn àgbàlagbà wọ́n ní bí orí bá dúró tọrùn inú déyàn ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ gan ni Sunday ọmọ Adéyẹmọ yé máa bá ọjọ́ òní ọjọ́ burúkú tó lápẹ̀rẹ̀ ni ṣùgbọ́n àwọn tí wọ́n ṣe rúkú ẹ̀ wọn ò lè mú jẹ́ má ṣe pé ṣùgbọ́n nu rẹ̀ gbogbo nǹkan ọba tó ń padà bọ̀ ìmọ́lẹ̀ thank you àrò ọ̀rọ̀ mọ́ gbogbo nǹkan ọba tó ń jẹ́ àrò ọ̀rọ̀ mọ́ àwọn tó mú kọ́jọ́ ò ná wáyé má ṣe pé o ṣùgbọ́n má jẹnu rẹ̀ ó gbófo gbogbo nǹkan ọba pátápátá àrò ní ọmọ àrọ̀ mọ́ orí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n máa fèyí ṣe lọ́lé wa kì í ṣe mọ̀ wọ́n lè bí ilé rẹ̀ wípé ìtàlọ́kọrin ìwòsàn lápẹẹrẹ lágbájá ní tàmẹ̀dọ́ni ìmọ̀lẹ́ akéwìrè ọmọ wọn lọ́gbọ̀mọ̀sọ àjílété mọ́bólúwa mi dúpẹ́ mọ́ bẹ̀rù àgbà.
Wow, that is a very beautiful one there, as we say. Oto KOIKIMEDIA Lawa. So. Self-determination. Òun la fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí, mo kí wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Mo ń bọ̀, just another 1 minute plus.
Ọmọ Ìbàràpá lápapọ̀ èdè adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àti ọmọ Yorùbá lápapọ̀ ìtìlẹ̀ tó kó ẹ̀mí àbọ̀ ẹ̀dá ọmọ Adéyẹmọ. Sunday Adéníyì Ìgbòho orúkọ ńlá tí ń jámọ̀ láyà bí ara orúkọ tó ń dẹ̀rù olórúkọ gan-an. Ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ má sọ torí pé gbòòrà àpòlé ìfowópamọ́ gbogbo láyé títa ìrọ̀lẹ́ dáńpọ̀lá kúrà tó máa dán alànà kọjá dandan o. Ọ̀wọ́n ni nínú abẹ́rẹ́ wọná ẹ̀dá kan lè ṣùgbọ́n lọ́nà mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ àtìmọ̀ṣọ́ kan ká lè débi rẹ̀. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ àjọ gbárùkù ti Sunday Ìgbòho ṣá ọmọ Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ nílùú Alágbàdo Òde ọmọ atapẹ̀tẹ̀ wọn lómi ọmọ lèwèlèwèlè sànyà ìsàyàwó ẹ̀ràn bàbá yín láàrin ìdílé omi òfin ń kán sí ní lẹ́nu ọmọ òkúta mẹ́ta òkè Ìgbòho ìtàn ń ṣèyí ní dábàdàbọ̀ ìtàn ní mọ́ rárá ìkan tó kù nígbà tí wọ́n mọ̀ Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ kí ló dé Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ sí ọmọ òpópó sàn ìgbàgede Ìgbòho sùn wọn lálàìsí bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọn ní kó ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ ó máa kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ ẹ̀sìn ní bímọ méjì ní Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ bẹ́sìn bá bímọ méjì ní Ìgbòho áfíríkà pọpọ sí ámúkan yòókù bọ sànyà àtúwòyà rẹ tí ọlọ́rọ̀ gbọ́ àfisẹ̀rù wáyé wàràmùdé ọmọ onílé ọ̀la àwọn àjòjì tó ń ṣe ṣègbésègbè tọ́láwọn oníbomi tó sinmi wọ́n láwọn oníbomi sànyà wẹsẹ̀ ìgbà ojú obìnrin ń gbọ́ gbogbo wọn náà sáré bomi kó sinmi wọ́n ti bomi sànyà wẹsẹ̀ ọmọ abẹ́rẹ́ mẹ́ta òde ayé ọ̀kan ṣẹ́ ọ̀kan tẹ̀ ọ̀kan tó kù ní gbogbo ayé tí ó lọ́sọ̀ kiri gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá Sunday Ìgbòho oníbẹ̀rẹ̀ láéláé torí àbá lásán ni wọ́n ń dá òkúta òṣèlú fún wọn o ìmọ̀ràn lásán ni ti balùwẹ̀ kò pọ́sibú kò dòdò láyé ń gbé ó kú díẹ̀ kí tán domi láéláé ìtọ́ nílùú ẹ̀gbọ́mi Sunday Ìgbòho arógun láti ìdí tó gbà fẹ́tọ̀ Yorùbá ní ilé tó tó.
Moki Bubualenko say, I say very good afternoon. It is just coming up to 15 minutes before 3 p.m. local time in London. My name is Alami Koike, and I'm about to educate us again on the referendum and self-determination. I hope you would have time to listen and enjoy the program as you're joining us. Remember to invite somebody so that we can be able to explain to them why the Yoruba people refuse to back down when it comes to self-determination. Kí là ń pè ní self-determination? Àti pé tabani self-determination, is it something that is worth fighting for, or should we just allow it to go for those that are saying that Yoruba people should go and sit somewhere? But I want to link this with the Scotland or the Scottish, depending on what you understand by Scotland. First and foremost, we will be starting the program, and I should say, if you're new to the platform, this is a platform that talks about the dismantle, the disintegration, the renegotiation of Nigeria. You don't have to agree with my views, but again, as Yoruba man, I believe that it is right time that we say the way it is. Nigeria is not working. It is never going to work, and it is a waste of time to try to fix what the foundation that was faulty. Many Scottish people today are doing the same thing that we are doing, but the only difference is that they have their political party that backs it. We don't have the political party, and that is the reason why we are doing it under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye. He is the leader of the Yoruba self-determination movement, and he remains the leader. Under his leadership, there's so many different units under Professor Banji Akintoye. Professor Banji Akintoye is not a registered political party, but the difference is that he's able to convince and tell us that, look, the Nigeria of today is not going to work regardless of what you plan to do with it. So what we can advise and say, I will not be able to start saying good afternoon to you individually. I will just say welcome to the program, and remember to like and share. There is a political party known as the Alba Party in the United Kingdom under Scotland. But first and foremost, let us first give you, Scotland. Many of you must have heard about Scotland before, and some of you might probably not. So it is worth saying that whatever we discuss here, we can reference it back again to things that are happening in the real world. Scotland. What do you know by Scotland? If somebody said to you, I am a Scottish and I live in Scotland, how do you reference that? Once again, a very, very good afternoon and welcome to my platform. KOIKIMEDIA, bringing the world closer to your doorstep, is a platform that is used to discuss self-determination and also discuss why the Yoruba people do not want to have anything to do with the present day Nigeria. Nigeria is not going to work, so if anyone is expecting it to work, you would have to wait a very, very long time. We don't have that time anymore. We've spent 63 years together with Nigeria. We've spent almost 108 years as the amalgamation. And this time around, it is worth noting that the union between us and the rest of the ethnic groups needs to be revisited and talked about, and that is exactly what we are doing on a daily basis on this platform. It does not matter how long it's going to take. At some point, Nigeria will eventually collapse. But before it collapses, many people need to be heard. Many people need to understand why the self-determination is something that we really, really want at this junction. So just bear with me. All the platform seems to be ready to go. So Scotland. What is Scotland, and what do we understand by the word Scotland? If I say to you that I live in Scotland, what would you classify? What will you understand by that? Not everybody understand, so we're going to start with that, and then we're going to start breaking it down into particles. Once again, I am Ola Yomi Koiki. Scotland is a country that is part of United Kingdom. It contains nearly 1/3 of what is called United Kingdom. So every time you hear the word Scotland, remember that you are probably going to also think of it as a unit, as part of the United Kingdom. But many Nigerians today that disagree that we should have self-determination would want to live in Scotland at some point. We want to be part of the Scottish system, whether through study, whether through opportunity to live there. But most of them probably do not also understand that the reason why the Yorubas are also asking for self-determination is that the same thing we are asking for is what the Scottish people are literally asking for. But who are the Scottish people, and how do we identify them differently from the English and the Welsh? We have 3 regions, even up to Ireland. But today, the Scottish people are raising their voice and asking for one thing, and one thing alone. They want the right to self-determination. They do not want to be part of what is called the United Kingdom anymore. They want to have their own full... Okay, bear with us. Okay, that's fine. I didn't realize that I was already live from here, so I'd rather even switch things around. So many of them might probably not even know that, many Nigerians might not even know that the same thing that the Yoruba are asking for is what the Scottish people are also asking for. So this is where we need to continue to highlight and educate many Yoruba people on the reason why self-determination cannot be a crime. Self-determination is a right, and under that right, it is important that myself and you continue to speak out. Well, we might say that many people will not accept the disintegration or the amalgamation of Nigeria. There's nothing wrong in that. I mean, that is their right. But we must also continue to highlight the danger why we need to have our own self-independent country, a total independent country away from Nigeria. So again, Scotland has a population of 5.4 million according to the data that was given to us from the Eurostat. As of 2019, Scotland has 5.5 million population. They have their own official language called Scottish Gaelic. They also speak English, or they speak with the British Sign Language. They are also spending pound sterling, but most of you that are not aware, and if you have not lived there before, or you've not been privileged to travel out of Nigeria, I might have to tell someone to send me a Scottish pound, because every time you look at the English pound, this is the English pounds, okay? This is what it looks like. This is the £5. This is an old one. It's a specimen, but hopefully I would have the one that is new, which has the king, because Queen Elizabeth is dead. There is a Scottish pounds, which is slightly different from what it looks like. This one is different from the one in Scotland. So if you have somebody in Scotland, you might want to tell them to show you what the Scottish pounds looks like. It's slightly different. Let me see if I can get something from the Google. So let's look at the Scottish pound and see what it looks like. Scottish pound. So let's see if we can get the image. Bear with us once again. So if you look at the Scottish pound, this is what it looks like for the benefit of those of you that are watching us. Let me try and get one. So this says the Royal Bank of Scotland. And if you look at these, you will realize that it is a complete different from the British pounds in terms of the the color, in terms of the look. Sometimes when we have the Scottish people that comes to to England, when they come down here and they present you with a Scottish pound, sometimes if you're not familiar, you might just say, is this a real money? But in a nutshell, it is a real money. They also have their own government. Even though they are under the same United Kingdom, they have their own government known as the Constitutional Monarch, also called devolution. The question we should ask is, what actually led to this union between Scotland and England? How did they merge? How did they become one union? So let's go back. We'll have to go back into Wikipedia and be able to get the understanding, because from what we know, it used to be one block until something led to something, just like something led to something, and Nigeria today was amalgamated, even though we know the foundation of that was very, very faulty. Many Nigerians do not understand most of what we talk about. All they know is that we were born inside Nigeria, and as far as they're concerned, we should remain one entity. So, going back to a little bit about the history of Scotland. Scotland, also known as Scots, S-C-O-T-S. You can also call them the Scottish Gael. So what that literally means that the Scottish Gael, which is spelled again Scottish with Gael, G-A-E-L-I-C, also known as the Scot Gaelic, or simply you can call them the Gaelic. Just like we know that the Yoruba people can be known as different, within ourselves, but we are still known as Yoruba or Moluabi. The Gaelic is a Gothic language native to the Gaels of Scotland as the Gaelic language. So language is very, very unique. When you talk about language, it is so unique in the sense that we have 500 languages in Nigeria. I might not even understand the rest of the language apart from my own Yoruba language and literally the English. Probably a bit of, Odima and a little bit of probably, I don't know, in the northern part, which is Hausa. But today, the Scottish also have their own language. The Gaelic, the Scottish Gaelic, as well as both the Irish and Manx, was developed out of the Old Irish. It became a distinct spoken language sometime in the 13th century. I have been to Scotland a few times, and when you get there, the pronunciation and the way they speak is different from the way we speak here in England. So, I might not be able to tell you how they speak, but automatically when you get to Scotland, you will realize that their mode of communication is English, but sometimes with the Scottish accent. And that is why, in the Yoruba land, when you speak English sometimes to the core Yoruba man or woman, that language of the Yoruba tends to overshadow the English. I'm sure some of you understand what I'm saying by that. It's just coming up to 5 minutes past, 5 minutes to 3 rather. We end this program at exactly almost 4 p.m. So let's go into it a little bit further because of the time constraint. Again, Scotland is a country that is part of what we call United Kingdom. Not too sure where United Kingdom is on the map here, but just think about a country that has units among itself. That was what we negotiated in Nigeria in 1957-58, but unfortunately that was destroyed, so there was no regional government, and we are now practicing the federal, even though there's nothing called federal. It is a fraud. Let's go further. It contains nearly 1/3 of the United Kingdom land area. So every time the Yoruba say we want to exit Nigeria, we are not saying that we are leaving our territory. We are going to retain our territory, because the territory known as the Yoruba, from Ilorin all the way down to Lagos State, is what is called the Yoruba part. So that literally means that when we say we want to exit Nigeria, remember that Nigeria is only using our territory fraudulently, changing our identity, changing who we are by Lugard, representing the British Empire during the 1914 amalgamation. So the same thing, the Scotland or the Scottish people represent nearly, or contains nearly 1/3 of what is called the United Kingdom. So the moment the Scottish people breaks away from UK, which they are going to anyway, it doesn't matter how long it takes, a day is going to happen in our lifetime, the Scottish people will break away, just like it's going to happen in Nigeria. I know it's not what you want to hear, but Nigeria is going to break at some point. It only depends on how soon, how quick it's going to break. So what we are trying to say is that the Yoruba people also have a territory. That territory is now being added to what is called Nigeria today. The moment you pull that territory out, we will stand on our own, and Nigeria can continue in the northern part of Nigeria. So the Scotland, as we say, contains nearly 1/3 of the United Kingdom land area, consisting of the northern third of the island of the Great Britain. It also has about 790 adjacent islands, principally in the archipelagos of the Hebrides and the Northern Iceland. To the southeast, Scotland has its only land border, which is about 96 miles long and shared with England. So the moment we break the Lokoja Bridge, that means whatever is going to happen in the future of the Yoruba people, if you're going to come into that territory, you would have to go through an immigration border. The moment the day happened that the Yoruba people will stand on their own, that bridge would have to be rediscussed. The bridge that links us with the rest of Nigeria is either we break it and we build it again, or we find a different post border. The other borders as well that surround us would eventually also have to fall into our side. And just like if you want to come to UK, you have to go through the borders. Even those that have been coming through the boats will still pick you up and you will have to seek asylum. So even in the future, if some people still want to sneak into Yoruba territory, we will arrest you. We will not treat you inhumane as Nigeria continue to treat many of us inhumane. Nigeria does not respect human rights. And that's exactly what the Amnesty International said today. So in the future, when the Yoruba territory, which we can see the influx of people coming into the territory today, because there is hope and there's opportunity in that region. The reason why more people are traveling to Lagos State is because Lagos is flourishing. Lagos is the center of Nigeria. Not that the rest of the countries are not doing very well, but you are likely to make it quicker in Lagos State because, trust me, 20 million people, so much opportunity. Even if you're selling the basic thing in Lagos, you will prosper. So in the future, that is going to happen is that when we eventually take back our territory, we will lock all our borders. We will defend it like America is defending their border against the Mexico, even though the Mexicans are still filtrating themselves into America. You cannot just go to Canada from America. You have to go through an immigration process. Even though we know some Nigerians could not get their document in America, they've ended up in Canada. So border is a very, very key important. The moment you lose your border, you don't have control of it, you are in a big danger. So today, Nigeria does not control the border anymore. And that is why there's influx of terrorists penetrating into almost all the regions and creating havoc. How do we stop that? It has to be a total disintegration because we've lost control of our borders. The current administration, the previous one, they've all told lies. 1,000 borders, porous border means that your life is in danger, but the same thing the Scottish have about 96 miles. So if I'm traveling, let me give you what it looks like. If I'm traveling today, right now, from London to, to Scotland, by road or by sea, whatever method I want to use, it is a long distance. So it's going to take me 8 hours, 39 minutes via M6 to travel to Scotland. That's about 458.8 miles. It's a long journey, and sometimes you might have to take a lot of break along the line. Same thing in Nigeria today. The moment that we have this union dissolved between us and the rest of the country, most of those that want to travel into Yoruba territory will come by road, but we would have to make sure that you have the right papers. Many Nigerians that have been with us before, we might not say you need to have a paper or document, but we still want to know that you are the person coming as against a terrorist that has been infiltrating us in the last 2 decades. Let's go further again. To the southeast, Scotland, as it only has its land border, which is 96 miles. So to the North Sea, to the northeast and the east and the Irish border to the south, the population of Scotland as of 2022 was 5.4 million, which is just almost like having 4 countries in Lagos State. Think of that. Again, but the Kingdom of Scotland was a sovereign state in the northwest. Europe traditionally said to have been founded in 843 I don't know what that means. Its territories expanded, then it started shrunk. Many of us are worried. The population of the Southwest is growing faster while the Yoruba people are not giving birth. So we have more people that are living with us that would overrun us, whether they are from the Southeast, whether they are from the North, whether they are from another countries. They are bringing more children inside the territory known as the Southwest, and one day we will not be able to stop them. So what we need to do now is to revisit Nigeria so that we can plan. If you want to have 10 children from the North and you want to live in the Yoruba land, we need to be sure that you have what it takes to take care of them. In this country, they've stopped benefit the moment you give birth to the third children. It used to be as many. They now realize that no, we can't continue like that. I mean, if somebody has 20 children and they become very, they become a liability to the UK government. So the moment you have your first and the second, by the time you have your third, there will be no benefit for them. But today, we don't have a benefit system in Nigeria, but what we have is many people are living in Lagos State. And some of them shouldn't be in Lagos State anyway, but they believe that if they live in Lagos State, through one means or the other, they can survive. And they are producing more. Many Yoruba people are bringing up to probably maybe maximum 3-4 children, but some other regions, which we know, they are bringing children up to 15, 20, 10 wives. How do we manage them in the next decade? These are danger that you got to start thinking of. That is why we are saying self-determination must happen today. So let's go further. The King of Scotland merged. The word merge, that means something came together, wife and husband, and sometimes the union doesn't work, you fall apart. Sometimes it works. We pray it works, but the prayer for Nigeria is not going to work because we are not the same. We are different. We are 300 ethnic groups of people. We are not tribes. We are Yoruba. We are indigenous people. It is the British during the era that merge us together with the rest of those that are known as Nigerians. And we got to stop that before it is too late, because Nigeria is sitting on a ticking time bomb. So let's go further. Something happened around 1603. As at that time, the Yoruba also have their own form of government. There was nothing called Nigeria in 1603. Bear with us. Thank you so much. It's Baba. The beauty of when you live in this country, you receive post, and you're guaranteed that whatever you post will get to you, unlike Nigeria, that even DHL refused to get post to Nigeria, a very shit country. Excuse me. In 1603, think of it. Who were we at 1603? There was nothing called Nigeria in 1603, but we also have our own territory. When you go back, as at 1500, that's 500 years ahead. The Portuguese, by the time the Portuguese came, Ijebu has been existing 500 years before that. Think of that. Just close your eyes and think of that. Ijebu has been existing before 1500, and the Portuguese people came to our territory in 1500. So if you go back 500 years, we have been existing. So when some say, oh, we should leave our existence and save Nigeria, I say, no, we are not saving Nigeria. We pull it down, but we pull it down by educating many of you that wants to save Nigeria. Election is not going to save Nigeria. If you'd like, vote every 4 years for whoever you want to vote for, whether it's Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, whatever you want to vote for, any other ethnic groups. It is not going to bring unity among ourselves. And trust me, it's never going to be. You will all just be mourning on the social media while the politicians continue to milk us. Whether the Yoruba politician, the Igbo politician, the Middle Belt, the Hausa, the Fulani, they're enjoying Nigeria while myself and you continue to shout, we will take them down. You can't take it down. What you can do is we dissolve the country. In 1603, something then erupted around the 9th century. We are now at the 21st century. So think about it. There was a century. Every generation will be different. We are different from the Afenifere because the Afenifere failed by asking for a structure that they were never going to get. Babadi Banjo is 95. Parube Fashoroti is probably 90-something. These are very old men. We pray they have another 100 years. I don't think so. Probably maximum 20 years on top of their age. They'll be dead. I will be alive. But they've left us with a corrupt system that they failed to hang and say, we pull out of Nigeria right now, and we pull out without any hesitation. So if any one of you is waiting for Afenifere to help you get a restructured Nigeria, trust me, Afenifere have enjoyed Nigeria. Every single one of those leaders, and they're still enjoying. Most of their children are doing very well. While you as a Yoruba man, you will struggle to survive in the Nigeria for today. Let's end it. Let's end it before it is too late. 1603, at the 9th century, James V or 5th inherited England and Ireland, forming a personal union of the three kingdoms. I'm going to take that again, and I want us to get the understanding of how Scotland became part of United Kingdom. We all knew how Nigeria became Nigeria. But the same Scottish people are saying, okay, yeah, we know how you merge us together, but we don't want to be part of that union anymore. And that is why they are also campaigning and fighting for the self-determination. But what we don't understand is why the Yoruba that understand or understood the margin, whether it was a relationship, whether it was a forceful one, regardless of whatever it was, something led to the amalgamation of the amalgamation, and we are now saying, okay, let us go back to where we are before. And some Yoruba say, no, we're not going to go back to where we are before. We would die here in Nigeria. Well, Alafni, the Ikuba Bayeye, died in Nigeria, and go and look at his palace. He's still using generator. I mean, he's dead already. I mean, we don't say King died, Obawaja. But I visited his palace, and I realized that every minute we sat down there, electricity was going off. And I'm thinking, how come in a Yoruba territory we are talking about one of the best respected king in the world? I dare to say the light at Buckingham Palace will never be switched off. They might have a kind of one that will go off when people are not there, but I bet you they are not using generator. And you can start asking yourself, something seems not to be right. And don't come and tell me, well, it's just leadership. No. That is the disrespect of our monarch. The British still operate a monarchy system while Nigeria is operating a federal system. Olubadan, I picked that up yesterday, just to add that into the broadcast quickly. Olubadan said, and I quote yesterday, that they should now revisit the Nigerian constitution so that the kings can have a better say. And I'm saying, okay, it seems that we are getting there slowly and slowly. I just want to bring out the headline yesterday. And it's on the Constitution. Let me write the Constitution to that. Once again, it is still KOIKIMEDIA, the platform that educates you and tell you reason why Nigeria unity is now something that needs to be discussed. Olubadan, it was yesterday. I saw that yesterday, I'm very sure. Channels of conflict. All right, let me put it Olubadan. Okay, I think I should put it all together instead of spacing it. All right, let's see if you get Regan's again. Once again, a very good afternoon. All right, if I can't find that, I'll probably pick that up. I don't want that to slow my time, but I know I saw that headline yesterday where Olubadan literally said Constitution needs to be revisited so that we can Olubadan. Okay, well, I've done Olubadan of Ibadan, Nigeria Constitution. So you wonder why they are talking about yeah, that's it, I got it now. So you can go on the Tribune of yesterday. A Yoruba monarch advocate constitutional rule for traditional rulers. Imagine King Charles telling us the same thing, that he needs a constitutional rule Prince Charles, oh sorry, King Charles is no longer prince, is the one that decide who govern on his behalf in this country or not. Traditional rulers under the aegis of Yoruba Obas Forum have insisted on the constitutional rule through the amendment of the fraudulent military diktat of the 1999 Constitution. Imagine Obas now begging, our Obas are begging, they are begging, the new administration to revisit this 1999 Constitution. Why? So that the kings, the Obas, can have a better say. The amendment, which would have been carried out at the 9th Assembly, but we know that the politicians are never interested in amending anything that will favor our kings. Rather, they will do whatever it takes to pull them down. The 9th Assembly was said to be truncated by senators from the South-South, Southeast region. I mean, imagine those two regions refuse to allow, a constitutional amendment that would have helped the Obas, the Yoruba monarch. So let me leave that because that's not the area I want to touch on. I still want to talk more about I'm still giving you the background to Scotland. So going back again, something happened during the 1603, which is the 9th century. We are now at the 21st century with the beautiful technology. As at that time, there's no kind of technology like this. So they have to, imagine if they have to send a message. It might take years, it might take months. But today, I'm speaking to so many of you at the different part of the globe, as far as Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. So, in 1603, James V was the King of Scotland as James V from the 24th of July, 1567, and the King of England and Ireland as James I from the union of the Scottish and English crowns on the 24th of March 1603 until his death in 1625. As at this time, nothing called Nigeria. As at this time, Yoruba, I believe the Oyo Empire was still reigning. Until his death in 1625, although he long tried to get both countries to adopt a closer political union. The new kingdom of Great Britain did not come together until around 1707. The kingdom of Great Britain, officially Great Britain, was a sovereign country in the Western Europe from 1707 until 1800. The state was created by the 1706 Treaty of Union, just as we have the amalgamation as well today. The state was created by the 1706 Treaty of Union, but it was also rectified by the Act of the Union 1707, which the United Kingdom of England, Scotland, to form a single kingdom. Form a single kingdom. But today, why then are the Scottish people saying, we do not want to be part of this anymore? Now that I've given you a background, history of how England, Scotland became a body, why we now call them United Kingdom. But now, part of them are saying, we are no longer interested in this union. We do not want to be part of this union anymore. This union is not working for us. But there's a political party called the Alba Party, which have the leader from the former First Minister of Scotland, Alex Salmond. He is now the one taking the campaign. Imagine having the Yoruba politicians should be the one taking the campaign of the right of the Yoruba people to exit from Nigeria. But because they are so corrupt and they love Nigeria the way it is, so that they can continue to manipulate you and you can get carried away. There's so much distraction in Nigeria. A lot of you are now doing skits. A lot of you are now into gossip. Rather than us talking about who we are as Yoruba people and get worried because the future ahead, we will all be in danger. Some of you say, no, we are not going to be in danger. Let us just love Nigeria and save Nigeria. And we say, okay, my grandmother tried to save Nigeria. She died at 92. Even water could not get to our floor upstairs. Now, Alba Party are now representing part of those Scottish people that say they do not want to be part of the union anymore. So why are the Scottish people fed up of the union? Let's go straight. Scotland then decided to have what they called a referendum. A referendum means nothing more than the fact that it's a yes or no question. I mean, even if some of you say, well, you don't have the right to what you're doing, well, let me just say that why not give us a referendum to start with and see whether we would all say yes or no. Even though some might argue that we don't even need a referendum, but for argument's sake, so that for the cost of not having bloodshed, because if you do not go through that route, then it becomes anarchy and it becomes violent, which many Yoruba people do not want. So in the process that we do not want such a kind of conflict on the territory, then there must be an independent referendum conducted with the Nigerian government but monitored by the United Nations. If that does not happen in a very diplomatic way between the Yorubas and the Biafrans and the Arewas and the Bindu Belt to exit Nigeria, what is going to happen is going to be very painful. Many of you know what that means. I'm not going to elaborate on that. And after that, United Nations will force a referendum in the country. That is what's going to happen. If we all refuse to sit peacefully, amicably, diplomatically to resolve this unity, then United Nations is not going to give you a country, but they will have to come down when a lot of things have happened. You can go back and read the history of the East Timor. It was a violence for 30 years. A lot of people got killed, but today they are free people as independent country. Or you might just check with the Western Sahara. Western Sahara have taken 20% of their country or territory, but today they are still not able to take it. But they are fighting with the Moroccan government. You can check on South Sudan, what happened there. We don't think we need such at the moment. We've lived together truthfully for 60-something years, but it has been a failure. And don't tell me we can revive it. We're all living in danger. Whether myself outside Nigeria or you inside Nigeria, every single one of us are sitting on a ticking time bomb. You cannot stop the Biafra campaign. You might not like what they are doing, but it will be better in the interest of everybody that we sit down and we discuss the unity of Nigeria. It is really able to be negotiated. If that doesn't happen, whatever happened, I don't know when, we will all have to accept the blame because we do not want to speak out. I know it's not the kind of taste board that you want to hear on a Thursday afternoon on the 30th of November 2023 at 3:30, which I am documenting because every time I put the date and the time, it shows that I am documenting something. I am documenting every of my videos for the next generation to watch. We will not be here for the next 100 years. We will all be dead, most of us. I don't pray to be here in another 100 years. It will be, that means I'll be about 140. I don't have to be here. But I want to leave a legacy that people watch this video and they say, well, you tried your best and we eventually got it. And it's going to happen in my lifetime. Pade Banjo and the rest of them, Ruben Fashion Roti, they failed the Yoruba people because they've been asking for something that they could not even achieve for 30 years. I'm talking about the Afeniferis. So something happened here in UK in 2014. I was still in this country and I'm still living here. It was called the Scottish Independence Referendum. You might argue that it failed. I will give you the reason why it failed, because the English are very, very corny people. I live with them and I know what I'm talking about. If the English says, can you take a cup of tea? Double check that you are not having 2 extra sugar in it. The English have manipulated the world and they're still doing so. Many of you in Nigeria do not know these people. They are real manipulative people. They did manipulate us against the Igbos, against the Hausas. We were living side by side without any problem until they came into our territory, stole so much from us, decided now to turn us against each other. Many Yoruba hate the Igbos because they believe the Igbos are a threat to us. This was not what it used to be before the empire known as England or Great Britain came into our territory and created immunities among every one of us. And they've done that for 200 years. In India, go back and read the Indian history. Today, India have surpassed this country economic-wise. I just listened to Vantage, my beautiful sister there, Vaki Pashir, whatever she's called, beautiful name. She's currently in Dubai for the COP28. I pray to be in that stage with my KOIKIMEDIA brand one day. Many of you don't know what Nigeria is all about. The English people are smart. Great Britain controlled the world for 200 years. They literally destroy boundaries. And what they did with the Scottish people is making the Scotland say, we need another referendum and we need it now because we are fed up of staying together in this union. So in 2014, the then new foreign secretary was the former Prime Minister, David Cameron. The reason why David Cameron resigned is because we lost confidence in him. There is no way any, and I repeat, any Yoruba or any of your corrupt politicians will resign if we don't have confidence in them. They would rather die. And some of you love them so much. Even Rotimi Amechi talked about it. A referendum on the Scottish independence from the United Kingdom was held in Scotland on the 18th of September 2014. The referendum question was, should Scotland be an independent country? It's not about maybe, it's not about it could be, it's just yes or no. The question is, what is Nigerian government scared of? Give us the referendum and let us decide our fate. It's as simple as that. Give us the referendum. Why is the government scared? Why are they worried? I'd rather want a referendum than every 4 years election. The British former High Commissioner Catherine Lang deceived Nigerians to get the PVC. She left Nigeria right now. I don't know wherever she is right now on another diplomatic mission. But she lied that PVC will solve your problem. Today, we saw all the shenanigans that took place during the 2023 election. That election was flawed. That election was fraud. Tinubu knew that. He never won that election, but that's a story for another conversation. So if anyone is thinking that your PVC will solve matters again in 2027, I am telling you in advance again, think otherwise. Obedience were just crying, and they will cry even in 2027 because Tinubu will rig the again and he will bring himself back. And the Igbos will never be a president in that country called Nigeria. They know that. But those that are still believing that they will become the president from the southeast, Igbos will never be given the chance to become the president. For me, it is not good because that is not a unity country, but that is just a fact. The Hausas hate the Igbos because of some of the coups, the counter coups. The Yorubas can never trust the Igbos. So we are all just lying to each other. I know some of us are very much intertwined. I have cousins that have married to the Igbos. I'm sure some of you have as well, but I would rather want us to remain separate. We can never live together. It's a fact. So in 2014, the question was very simple. Would you want Scotland to remain an independent country? Which vote answer was either yes or no. But do you know that the no won? And you might be wondering, but why? Why are they now asking for it? Because they were deceived. I told you that the English people are very cunning people. Not all of them, but their government. I live here. I know that. Because they lied against Gaddafi. They lied against Saddam Hussein. So if you're one of those that believe that the West will tell you the truth, you will wait for a very long time. I have lived with them for 25 years. I was at somewhere yesterday. The COVID inquiry that I went yesterday, they were shocked to see a black man there. There was not one single black journalist in that building. All I saw was security guards from Nigeria. I saw two of them. One says, Omobanimi, Wuntimonshe Koiki. I am not saying I'm the best, but I'm just telling you. My ID card yesterday was rechecked. This morning, let me tell you how the email that I did challenge them at the event I went yesterday. Shout out to Easy Dollar, shout out to my mom, shout out to Babaki Toye. This morning, an email was sent to me to apologize. I sent an email to that same office at the beginning of the month of November. I did not get any reply. When I went there yesterday, they apologized this morning through the email that was sent to me that I received from them. I've lived in here 25 years. There's still what we call racism. So I pity many Nigerians thinking that the West is coming to solve our problems. Our problem is not leadership. We need to start talking about negotiation of the dissolution of Nigeria. Where's the email? Today is 30, right? So I should be looking for the 30th. I think it should be this. Once again, a very good afternoon. And welcome to the program. All right. After I complained to them yesterday at the UK COVID-19 inquiry, I was now sent another email this morning officially inviting our media. What I should have done 3 weeks ago. I pity a lot of you at home. You trust the West too much, especially the BBC. The bias, the British Bias Corporation. That's what we call them. But many Nigerians put their hope on the BBC. BBC is very corrupt. It's a corrupt organization that doesn't allow and empower the black people in this country. I'm a journalist. I have journalists that work with BBC and we are still in union. And I've heard a lot of what they've said about BBC. But I leave that for you to continue to deceive yourself with the Western media. Media invite. Witness timetable published for 8 weeks. I should have received this email like this about 3 weeks ago. It just shows the same problem that many of us face in different walk of our life. And they gave me all the details. If you like to attend the hearing in person, blah, 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 you know. So, then the other one that came before that is just to say, thank you so much for attending. It says, hi, Mr. Koiki, nice to hear from you again. Hope your day went well at Durham House yesterday. Of course, we will add you to the media list. Week 8. Witness timetable should be coming out very soon. Best wishes, Adam. This email should have come to me 3 weeks ago. So you're waiting for the British to come and tell you that Nigeria is not working. I know some of you have seen the picture of our king with the President Bola Tinubu in Dubai. Ask yourself, what is he telling Tinubu when it comes to the current situation in Nigeria? Just try to deceive them. Do I trust the British? No. Do I appreciate them for living here? Yes. Let's go back again. The English deceived the Scottish They were told that if you vote against exit out of UK, Scotland should have gone in 2014. They should have been an independent country since 2014, but they were deceived. Just like many of you have been deceived, especially after the NSAS. Do you know that they gave more Nigerian visa to this country? Something happened in 2016. We've had two referendums that I've witnessed in this country. One was in 2014 and the other one was 2 years after, which is 2016. In 2014, the Scottish people wanted to exit out of Nigeria. Why didn't you take your key? Oh, where's the key? Where's the key? Did you put the key on the door? No. No. I just took it from here. You should have checked again. Disturbing my broadcast. Alright. In 2014, the Scotland or the Scottish people were told to go and vote if they want to remain in this country called Great United Kingdom. But they were given a clause. That is why you got to be very careful when you see politicians coming to UK like we do see them, especially before the election at Chatham House. A lot of us question why African politicians must come and speak at Chatham House. There's something not right. The Scottish were told that should you vote against the exit of the Union, UK will remain in European Union. It was a lie. It was a total lie. As many of you have been told lies today. I understand some of you love the lies because it is much better than the truth. The Scottish people were deceived by the English Parliament in Westminster. So the Prime Minister says they were campaigning. There were some campaigning for yes to exit and some campaigning no, which is exactly what we are doing today. Allow us to campaign and let Yoruba people decide whether they want to remain in Nigeria or not. You don't force them into what they are not even understood. Let us take the campaign without being attacked. And let them decide whether we should remain one Nigeria or not. But I'm sure they will say yes, we should exit, with a lot of details, reason why we should exit. Thank you so much, my sweet child. In 2016, there was another referendum. And that was a very bitter one for the Scottish people. They fall into the trap of the Westminster that told them that should we all vote for union to remain, we will not plan to exit from the European Union. But that was a lie. The English people are tired of immigration. And the English people decided to vote out of European Union. Even though, quote and unquote, the English, this country, enjoy much benefit as a member of the European Union. They founded the same union 35 years ago. And yet, they are still part of those that refuse to allow their currency to be pulled down so that we can spend. I mean, you can spend it in this country. You can spend European money, which is called the EU money. Euro. I'm sure you all know euro. But the English refuse to pull down their own pounds. So that means there was instability. The German hate them so much, especially the former Chancellor. UK created the biggest problem for the instability of the European Union. They were happy that they exit anyway. But the English people do not want to be part of it because they believe that as a member, even though They benefited from it. But you know, the impression, just like the Nigerians today, is that, oh, if we pull out of Nigeria, we're going to suffer for it. No, we're not going to suffer. We'll be better off. The English thinks that they should control their borders. You know why? Because the smaller European countries that are not doing very well, why do you think many people want to go to Lagos? It's because Lagos is where it's happening. Nothing is happening in the other side, as much as I'm concerned. On the 23rd of June 2016, a referendum, commonly referred to as the European referendum, or what we call the BRICS exit referendum, many of you will have heard the BRICS exit, took place here in United Kingdom. I voted as well, because some of us have the right to vote. And Gibraltar is less than 50,000. It's one of the British, you know, whatever they call it, to ask the electorate whether they should remain a member or leave the European Union. So why is it difficult that we should not ask the same question? 2 referendums have taken place in the space of 2 years in this country. So why then is it difficult for us to ask the same thing in Nigeria today, whether we want to remain one or we want to exit? It shouldn't be a problem. But the politician knows that is a problem for them. That could be the decisive one that will save the lives of many Nigerians as indigenous people. But those that we are trying to educate and say it is not going to be a workable country called Nigeria in one block, are the same people attacking us, because the politician says that is not the right thing to do. Let's remain inside one block, and inside that one block nobody can control them. Let me give us some statistics according to the BBC website. And they've also said this page has been archived, is no longer updated. They've kept it for record purpose. UK to leave EU. If you watch my morning program, I'm not going to go into all the details again. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. I gave a clear details of what European Union means. So I'm not going to do that again because of the time constraint. But do you know that 51.9% of people in the UK voted to leave the European Union? And in terms of the numbers, it is 17,410,742 people voted. There was no single gunshot, as far as I know. There was no single ballot box that was stolen. Everybody voted, and the result came back, and it was clear. What is the government scared of for the referendum of the Biafrans, for the referendums of the Yorubas, the Arewas, and the Middle Belt, for those that are saying enough is enough, we unplug this country? In 2 years, 2 referendums were held, nobody killed each other, and the world has not come to an end. 48.1%, you can see the closeness. So we might even end up doing a referendum and Nigeria can still win in terms of those that are from Yoruba side and the Igbos, but that will be subject to if it is a fair and genuine referendum that is not manipulated, like Bola Tinubu and Buhari manipulated the 2023 election, because we know that that election was a fraud. The Yoruba people knows that, but because it's Bola Tinubu, and then so what? Buhari also became president through whatever means. He says blood and donkey or baboon. I'm sure you know what that means. And Jonathan say, rather than blood to flow, I will just let the power go. That is the reason why you have a lot of terrorists. I won't be surprised that Bola Tinubu knew that they were bringing in jihadists into the country to destabilize if Jonathan was not going to give power. That election of 2023 was rigged. Bola Tinubu knows that. APC knows that. Sorry for the article. Sorry for the Peter B. Sorry for those of you that think that you can win through APC, through ballot box, or through your PVC rather. Your PVC is as useless as my tissue paper in my toilet. But the West tells you, use your PVC to vote anybody you don't like and vote the one that you like. And you saw the shenanigans that took place. How many of you are waiting again for 2027? How many Nigerians are going to wait again for 2027? We're going to vote them out. That is not the solution. All that cannot rectify the problem today. I laugh at even the APC that voted, just like I laugh at the other political parties. It's all lies. Some of you, if I ask you, where is your PVC? I hope you're saving it for 2027. They'll come back again. And they'll tell you, I think currently Tinubu is on renew change, right? Or renew whatever. I'm sure they're preparing the other slogan for 2027. Politicians have already started their campaign, but some of you don't know that. UK votes to leave the EU. This is where the Scottish now say, so you guys deceived us. You told us to remain in UK so that you will not exit the EU. Now the Scottish are saying, we want to be part of the member of the European Union, and they are now campaigning back to back for the right to self-determination. And that campaign is now being taken care of by a former minister. I mean, similar to a prime minister, if you want to put it that way. Is the one leading the campaign in Scotland, named Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond is the leader of the Alba Party. And I'm just on their website, I'm on their Twitter or X, if you want to check them out. They are known as Alba Party, ALBAPARTY. Follow them. You'll be pleased you do so. And you can see why people like us are never going to stop campaigning. Because if the Scottish people are still campaigning, I see no reason why the Yorubas should not campaign, and I see no reason why the Biafrans should not campaign, and the Arewas and the Middle Belt. And I'm just going to go through what they're saying so far at the moment. 5 hours ago, Regan is speaking at a press conference in Edinburgh right now. What is she talking about? Hashtag the referendum, hashtag Alba for independence. The referendum.scot. They also have a website. Proposed Scottish Parliament powers, Referendum Act, a proposal to make provision for ascertaining the views of the people of Scotland. Can we have the views of Nigerians at the current 10th Senate, where Nigerians will decide whether we all want to remain one bloc or we want to unbundle these fraudulent amalgamation and de-amalgamate it as quickly as possible and save lives. This is what our representatives should be talking about, but they are more concerned about other periphery and making Nigerians have the faith in a country that is so useless and is never going to happen. It is called illusion. Many of you are living in illusion that Nigeria is going to be great because your religious center are telling you that. Oh, don't curse your country. No, there was never a country, because Nigeria was not created with God prayer on top of it. Nigeria was not created when they were praying 5 times daily Islamic prayer on it. There was never a tradition that was said that let's kill the goat, let's kill a chicken and say, oh, we are creating Nigeria. When Lugard was creating Nigeria, I'm sure that he was even sleeping with his wife. So he didn't even have any religion. So most of you that wants to die because your religious center say, oh, you don't abuse your country, you don't cost it. Look, there was no prayer that was put together when they were creating Nigeria in the first place. It's a human being that created Nigeria. God never created Nigeria. It was nothing to do with God. Don't ever call God created Nigeria. Nigeria was, I visited Lugard's house. It's about less than an hour away from me, not too far from Harrods at Knightsbridge. I don't know whether that was where he decided the name and then he returned to Nigeria as the governor administrator. So today, asking for referendum is all about consultation. And this is exactly what we're doing. We continue to consult and see as many of you will buy into it. Let's read what Regan MSP. The UK Supreme Court decision to prohibit the democratically elected Scottish Parliament from directly consulting the Scottish people which elected it, and to whom they are accountable on the question of should Scotland be an independent country with a question mark. This is the job of our representatives in Yoruba land from all the federal state lawmakers. But all they're doing is creating illusion in the minds of Yoruba people that one day things will turn around. It's a lie. It's a false hope. So what this woman is saying is that how can the Scottish Parliament that the people voted for cannot have the power to enable another referendum? You know why? Because the Supreme Court in UK is stopping it. Because the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that too. And do you know what happened? The word Nigeria was all created from the Westminster Palace. Maybe some of you don't know that. We know we talk about Lugard, but Lugard wasn't working for himself. The power to unbreak and unloose from Nigeria is in that building. And that same building is the same building that is now holding the Scottish people. So when some of you say that we are one Nigeria or one Nigerians or whatever you call yourself, you are being represented at the Westminster Palace. Oh, I'm sorry some of you say, but we have independence. You never got independence. There was nothing called independent. It's lies. That building has the clause to the amalgamation of Nigeria, and that building will never allow the breakup of Nigeria until the real indigenous people stand by it and say enough is enough. That is what the Scottish people are doing right now. So if anyone thinks that Nigeria is going to break just like that, that building, you've seen me in front of that building, it's called the Westminster Palace. That is the building that amalgamated Nigeria. And you can take that to anywhere and say, I said so. No amount of protest will break up Nigeria. No amount of talking will break up Nigeria. But when the indigenous people are ready, and they say we are ready, the country will go. But we are not ready yet. But we will not stop talking. Let's go back here. I'm going to rewind this again. Regan says, and I quote, how can the UK Supreme Court decision to prohibit the democratic imagine these guys, these Scottish people, they have a politicians that support the breakup of Scotland. So we don't even have that kind of support in the Southwest. That means we are struggling. We are fighting against the demonic Yoruba politicians working on behalf of the empire. That's the people we are fighting against. Because if the politicians from the Southwest are in support of us, it will make the job to go smoothly, and we can push it and accelerate it in a consultative way without any fighting. So the Scottish people should be grateful that they have the true Scottish people, the true blood of Scottish in some of their representatives that are standing firm and saying on a daily basis that this union between them and UK is not working. The Supreme Court, the UK Supreme Court decision to prohibit the democratically elected Scottish Parliament from directly consulting the Scottish people which elected and to whom they are accountable on the question of should Scotland be an independent country, should Yoruba be an independent country, should Biafra be an independent country, should the Arewa be an independent country. These are questions that our representatives should be throwing out, but they are busy playing Ludo with our lives, while many of you are preparing again for another 2027 fraudulent election. Bola Tinubu knew that it was rigged into government, and it will be on record, even though some of you wants to live in denial from not saying that. That election was rigged. Has not only blocked the particular question being asked, but provoked a democratic crisis in Scotland. The UK Supreme Court is now provoking a democratic crisis in Scotland, just like the NMPP said in my broadcast in the morning. Go and watch that. That there will be crisis if Tinubu pull down the NMPP governorship in Kano. I can't wait to see how this is going to unfold. I am looking forward. Whether that is a threat, thank you so much, Mercy Child, again. Whether that is a threat or not, we will wait and see. I just pray that APC will kick them out, and let's see what NMPP will do, whether they are just bluffing. No credible Democrat can believe that this is a constitutional vision which is founded on principles of democracy. These are people that are talking about democracy. Don't come and tell us democracy in Nigeria, and please don't tell me Rome was not built in one day. The foundation of Nigeria is faulty, and there's no democracy that can sit on it that will be sweet like anything. You will all cry. It's just a matter of time. This instead judicial outrage, in that it appears to be an attempt at legal enforcement by the judges of what themselves are determined is an essentially political constitution. If you have a political constitution, then by definition it is for politics to resolve matters. As a result of the Supreme Court decision, it is now opportune for the Scots to have a new conversation on what powers their parliament should have. We lost that parliamentary system of government just after the regional government was pulled down. The regional government was pulled down, and that was the end of Nigeria. We're going to be ending the program. It's just the first part. The second part will come up some other time. Alba proposed that at each and every election, political parties supporting independent should stand on an ambiguous mandate to negotiate independent from Westminster. Westminster has so much power. The same power to amalgamate Nigeria. They have the same power to de-amalgamate it, but it's never going to happen through diplomacy. Take that to the bank. If a majority of votes are achieved for independence, then the Scottish government should mobilize popular and international pressure to implement that mandate, which is what we are doing right now. Why do you think they wanted to kill Igboho? It was already putting pressure that they could not resist, and their only option was killing, so that way Igboho will not be able to speak out. However, that does not prevent additional democratic action now in seeking the view of the people in extending the powers of the parliament. Thus, I want to assure that the people of Scotland are able to express their view. The Yoruba people must be able to express their views without any sort of intimidation. And that was what took place at the last administration. This administration we've not tested yet. We don't know, because the Yoruba people are still lacking behind by sitting and waiting for miracles when we should be out there on a daily basis seeing the same thing on the street of Lagos, street of Kano, Ogun State and the Southwest in Ekiti, that we want a referendum to exit Nigeria. But we are all waiting and hoping that something miraculously will happen from the north or the Biafra. Many people are just waiting for the Biafra to just start something, because the Yorubas are still waiting. We wait. However, that does not prevent additional democratic action now in seeking the view of the people in extending powers of the parliament. Thus, I want to assure that the people of Scotland are able to express their view by a lawful referendum on the 19th of September 2024. God willing, I can't wait to see Scotland exit this country. I can't wait. So next year, they are hoping to get a referendum. Will they give it to them? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But they are pushing. And that means that on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, they are campaigning. Taking that campaign. These are people that are better off 1 million times many Nigerians. And they want to exit. But those that are not even enjoying Nigeria are the ones saying we should save Nigeria. And I'm asking how? How come? It's because they do not have a full understanding of what they are saying. If they have that understanding, they would want that country to be totally dissolved as quickly as possible. My name is Olami Koiki. This is Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. As we end on the first part of this program, I'll be coming back to explain a better part of it. I won't be able to mention all the names. I'll just say thank you so much for those of you that watch it live and those of you that will be watching it later. Keep the comment going. I'll be reading them and I might be responding to some of them later as well. But let me say again before I go, from the Alba Party, there is nothing to stop our parliament proposing a referendum which we believe will be within competence, and that is to ask the people whether they believe in the powers of the parliament should be extended to include the right to legislate for and negotiate independence. That is what my proposed new draft bill is. Regan MSP. I am excited to launch a bill pivotal to our nation's dignity. Should the Scottish Parliament have the power to negotiate and legislate for the Scottish independence? Who is scared of the Yoruba independence? Who? Is it the West, Asia, or Africans? Somebody is scared of the Yoruba independence and the Biafra independence. They know that it is going to be the game changer in the new world that is coming. And we are moving to the new world. If you're not aware, start checking around you. The new world is coming. Indians have already surpassed this country when it comes to economy. Remember, UK dealt with India for a very long time. Now they've surpassed and they're still doing very well. Just the last one again before we go. Alex Salmon has paid tribute to formidable opponent Alistair Darling, who was the figurehead of the No campaign after his death, age 70. Ikunoni. Death is the final. I hope many of our Yorubas. This one also said, Regan has launched proposal to consult the Scottish public on whether Parliament should be given the power to legislate for and negotiate independence. Some of you might not be able to hear the video, especially those of you from the... Now, I'm not going to play because I promised myself not to start using too many videos. But I was going to play, but I can read out what he said. Alba MSP launched plans for a referendum on whether Scottish Parliament should have the power to legislate for and negotiate independence. And that was Alex Salmon explaining the same thing. This one is happening today, right now, as I speak to you. While Yoruba politicians are there doing whatever they are doing. And I think that is what is trending. Then again, it is time to break the constitutional logjam. This is Alex Salmon. #sovereignty for Scotland. More than 10 years ago, this is exactly the sort of initiative I would have taken if David Cameron had refused to sanction 30 referendum. Indeed, I had a draft with a similar question in an advanced stage of preparation, just in case. No doubt that the fact concentrated the mind of the Westminster wonderfully. Former First Minister of Scotland and the Alba Party leader, Honorable Alex Salmon. And that is the presentation for this afternoon. We'll be back again tomorrow for more discussion on the right to the Yoruba people, self-determination. And as we say, self-determination is a right, and that right will be respected by this government, international community, whether they like it or not. Shalom. Bye for now.